So what exactly is an estuary? An estuary is a synonym for delta, and we all know what a delta is. A delta is a landform that forms at the end of a river. Deltas form from sediment being carried by the river as it flows out of the mouth. This leaves a branched pattern. Water then drains into the ocean, and this is where fresh and salt water mix, creating brackish water. Estuaries are one of the most productive environments on Earth. They produce lots of organic matter per year, which this is very suitable for fish because organic matter means food, which is essential for life. This also creates a place for fish to stay from other predators. And not only does an estuary keep their stomachs full, but it also keeps them safe during storms. Harsh winds and waves from the open sea are most likely stopped, which allows life to flourish. So, what's the importance of estuaries? Well, we all know that estuaries are very important for nature, but they're also essential for humans too. We humans use estuaries for shipping and trading, for water drainage so we don't die, recreation, science studies, and resources such as fish. Wildlife use estuaries as places to live, as a spawning ground, and as a place to eat. Estuaries also have the nickname the nurseries of the sea. There isn't just one type of estuary. They are categorized by geological features and water circulation. But first, let's get started with geological features. The first one is the coastal plain, which is exactly what it sounds like, and they were formed during the last ice age. Tectonic estuaries are another type that usually occur when Earth's crust caves in during tectonic activity, such as an earthquake. This creates a basin along fault lines. Now, bar-bill estuaries are when sandbars build up along the coastline, which are really shallow. An example is Pamlico Sound, which is located in North Carolina. It is the largest lagoon along the North American East Coast, and it extends over 129 kilometers. Now, the last geological feature we have is the fjords, which are long, narrow, deep inlet of sea in between high cliffs, and they're very common in Iceland and Norway. The easiest way to understand what a fjord is to imagine two big mountains surrounding one river, and eventually it leads out into the ocean like any normal estuary does. Now the second category is going to be water circulation, and the first part of that is going to be the salt wedge. This is where a mouth of a river flows directly into a body of salt water. You would think that it would make brackish water instantly, but what happens is, since salt water is more dense than fresh water, the fresh water is going to go on top of the salt water. Now we have partially mixed water. This generally happens at salt wedges because when the tide vigorously rises, this causes a strong turbulence and causes partial mixing between the fresh water and the salt water below. Okay, so the well-mixed estuaries have strong tides and low river flow that mix the seawater throughout the shallow estuary. It thoroughly mixes it so that the salinity is the same top to bottom and decreases from the ocean to the river. So further on the ocean, it'll be more salty, and the more you go in the river, the less salty it will be.
Weather in an estuary varies depending on which climate the estuary is located in. When wind blows across water, waves are formed. Mild winds create good sediment churning with mild waves. Heavy winds create big waves which disturb sessile organisms such as mussels and mollusks. Seasonal storms, such as hurricanes, affect the health of estuaries by creating too much sediment mixture. Common plant life includes seagrass, mangrove trees, and cordgrass. Seagrass can sometimes become so thick that it mats at the bottom of the water, allowing very little sediment to be mixed up, so only seagrass can grow on the bottom, which creates nice spawning grounds for fish. Mangrove trees have roots that can allow for fish to be protected from larger predators. The branches create great nesting places for birds. Due to the salinity of estuaries, very few large animals live within an estuary. Usually babies are born, thus coining the term nurseries of the sea. The amount and variety of life usually depends on the salinity of the water. Shrimp are very commonly found and very commonly farmed. Thus, North Carolina and Florida, having both the largest number of estuaries, are also the biggest producers of shrimp. Migrating birds are found very often in estuaries due to the plentiful sources of food and lodging. Overfishing has become a very big problem. Estuaries are found all throughout the world. Some well-known locations include the Chesapeake Bay, located in Virginia, San Francisco Bay, located in California, and Puget Sound, located in Scandinavia.
Adaptations of estuary inhabitants revolve around the water's salinity. As previously discussed, no large animal could support itself with these drastic changes. Oysters and blue crabs are additional main inhabitants along with the others that we already talked about. We already said that climate change varies, but that also includes the amount of precipitation that an estuary has. Different amounts of precipitation will affect the actual estuary and the sea level. The depth of the water depends on these factors. Organisms may have to adapt to additional or minimal rain than in other climates. Climate also includes the temperature range of an estuary, which varies greatly. Again, the temperature will change the way an animal adapts if it is too hot or too cold, and may kill off other species that try to inhabit the area. Oyster reefs are the product of years of production in one area and are a home to a number of other animals. They help preserve the area by filtering the water. They also provide homes for many other organisms. They also protect the shorelines from erosion by breaking up the water.
Roles in the water cycle. First off, the water cycle is a cycle of water from the ocean to the atmosphere and back to the ocean. In the water cycle, in estuaries, large amounts of evaporation occurs in estuaries. Also, estuaries are the connection between the ocean and the freshwater rivers. It connects the cycle back to the ocean. It also recharges the groundwater. Groundwater is water held underground in the soil or in pores and crevices in rocks. This is critical because most of the fresh water is held underground. It's not above on the surface. Some rivers even come from the seepage of groundwater. Conservation efforts. More strict rules for taking fish from estuaries have been put in place. This way, the ecosystem's inhabitants are not stripped from the water. This makes it so that the ecosystem of estuaries is not as disturbed. In recent years, the amount of pesticides used in crops has also been reduced, and the types of pesticides has been monitored. Runoff has been reduced, but the amount of runoff is still affecting the estuary environment. Additional facts. Due to the mixing of nutrients, estuaries are the most productive natural systems. Estuaries include most commercially imported species of fish. Most fish depend on estuaries at some point in their life. Estuaries have become very important for the commercial value of humans. They can also be used as ports and harbors and are vital for shipping and transportation. There are over 102 estuaries in the United States. Of the 102 estuaries, the Chesapeake Bay is the largest, and it is one of the most important bodies of water in the world. It covers parts of 6 states and the District of Columbia. Over 200 species of fish and over 300 species of birds use the bay at some point in their lifespan. In 1993, over 180 million Americans visited estuaries. That's about 70% of the entire U.S. population. 17 million people live on the Chesapeake area alone. Over half of the U.S. population lives in coastal areas, including along the shores of estuaries. Estuaries also provide 28 million jobs and generate more than $20 billion of income each year. And this is our citations.